there, lovely listeners, and welcome back to Reasons to Care, the podcast all about heartwarming stories and making a difference with diverse abilities, Dorset's disability charity. I'm Claire, one of the managers in our children's team.
And I'm Michelle, a deputy manager in supported living. Don't forget you can check out career vacancies online at any time at diverseabilities.org.uk/careers. We're mixing it up this week and we've got a guest from outside of Diverse Abilities, haven't we?
We have. We've got Elin Parry from Merlin's Magic Wand joining us with the incredible job title of Magical Programs Manager. How cool is that?
That sounds pretty cool. I can't wait to hear more about it, so I guess we better crack on and invite her in.
So thanks for joining us today, Elin. So your official title is the Magical Programs Manager. Can you tell me a little bit more about what that means?
Yes, of course I can. Thank you for having me. And I think, Magical Programs Manager is the best job title I've had, I think. So what that means is I oversee the operational side of Merlin's Magic Wand children's charity and the foundation over in the US as well. We have 3 magical programs as part of our charity. Our biggest program is our Magical Days Out program. We gift tickets to Merlin attractions worldwide to children that need them most. And we also do Magic on Tour, where the attraction teams take the magic to the children. So that can be at Christmas, we have a lot of Santa visits at hospitals and taking gifts. And then we also have our Magic Spaces program, which is where we go into places where children we support spend a lot of their time, and we theme those rooms. So it could be Lego theme if we're working with Legoland, or it can be sort of ocean themed if we're working with Sea Life. So quite a bit of variety.
Amazing. That sounds really interesting.
I was going to say, what an amazing title to have. That sounds really good.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty great. Whenever I see it at the bottom of my email, I'm like, yeah,
yeah,
I made the right choice here.
Can you tell us more about the work and the impact you have on children and their families?
Yeah, sure. So I think the biggest impact we see is definitely through our Magical Days Out program. It gives families the opportunity to take those days out that they might not always get the opportunity to do together. We also give travel contributions. So some of the families we support might not always be able to afford the transport there either. So we see that there's a lot of the feedback we get is memories they couldn't have made without the gift of the tickets or the travel. It'll be things they might have been maybe scared to try without it being free. So it could be something that they thought, if we spend £40 a ticket on this and we get there and our children don't like it within like the first hour, or it becomes difficult because of any accessibility needs or anything they need, that it gives them the opportunity to try it basically without having too many implications otherwise.
So we obviously, within Children's Team, have been getting tickets for years. I think I went back to, I think it was 2016. You've been supporting our services since, which is absolutely incredible. It's such a long time. And I've been on so many of those trips, and I absolutely can tell you that is exactly what we see with the families and the young people. The joy that gives them, and those experiences and the memories and everything else is just absolutely incredible, and we are so grateful for working with you. So how do you think these experiences influence the overall well-being of the children and the families?
I think a lot of it is about creating those memories, like you said. I think it's having something to be able to look back on, to be able to have that day where they were really able to bond as a family. I think as well, in a lot of circumstances, it gives them like a talking point. So say if there's any sort of verbal problems, or if they can't communicate all that well, then having that talking point. So say if they went to Sea Life, someone can sort of hone in on something that they might have picked up on. I think quite a lot of the attractions offer like a sensory experience as well. That's a big thing, especially in places like Sea Life.
We love the sensory room at Legoland.
Oh, yes.
Having that is just makes such a difference for our families that we support when we go there. Having somewhere where if it's all going a bit horribly wrong and everything's really overwhelming, just to be able to say, let's just go to the sensory room, let's just chill for a bit.
I never even knew there was a sensory room.
Yeah, it's amazing.
They've got a really good team at Legoland Windsor as well. They've got a dedicated team to accessibility. So it's really, what they've done there is really great. And even I sometimes find somewhere like Legoland a bit overstimulating and a bit like a lot. So it is really great that they've got stuff like that there as well. Yeah.
And I think it's really important as well. I think for some of our families and some of our young people and siblings and things, they miss out on those opportunities. And I think when you go back to school in September, all your friends are talking about, say, what you've done in the summer holidays.
Yeah.
And if you're not able to get out and about so much because you've got a sibling with a disability or some sort of disadvantage, being able to go back to school in September and say, oh yeah, I went to Legoland or I went to Chesington, or that's like a really normal thing. And it must make those young people feel like they're on a par with their peers, that they've got something to talk about. It's not just we stayed at home. And I think that's so important as well. It's not just for the child and the parents, it's for those siblings too.
Yeah,
it's really
and we do support siblings as well, especially when it's in circumstances where it's like life limiting or anything. And like you said, oftentimes there'll be a lot of, different opportunities for the children we support, but it's really great to be able to support the siblings as well and the family unit.
Yeah, almost as a byproduct of what you're doing.
Of course,
everybody else kind of just gets drawn in and taken on that day trip as well. And that's really important. So,
do you find yourself sort of going to other venues and think, oh, such and such hasn't got this, or this could be really...
You definitely do think about it a bit more. I think before I started this job, I hadn't worked directly in this sort of field. I'd worked in like third sector, but not like charity work or working with children or anything. And definitely my first year or so, when I would go to maybe competitor places, I would notice what they did to adapt their rides and things like that. And you do definitely take more notice, which I think is great, because obviously it's really important to educate yourself on these things, and you wouldn't know otherwise. So the
Merlin parks are definitely, we've been to quite a few now, thanks to our magical days out, and they are so well set up for people with disabilities, and thinking about access and not queuing, being able to queue away from the rides, all of those things. Everything seems like it's thought about, which when those things are taken care of, that's what makes families' days out so much easier.
Yeah.
And obviously when we go on days out with the families, we provide them with staff as well, so they have an extra pair of hands. And I think that kind of all together makes such a difference.
Yeah.
So kind of makes the day more accessible.
Yeah, that's really
that
great.
Partnership working almost to make it really accessible.
Yeah, and that's why we want to be able to support with, any additional tickets for any carers or support staff. It's really great because, like you said, it just elevates that experience just a bit more.
Yeah, absolutely.
And staff are trained on different things, but it's really great when you've got your own staff there as well, because you've just got that extra level of understanding and stuff. So, yeah, that's great.
So I was going to ask a bit about sort of leading on volunteers and things. So how does the sense of joy and connection extend to the broader caregiving community? So including like your staff and your volunteers?
Yeah, so we don't actually have, we've just started at Merlin last year, a programme. I think it's just called the volunteering program. So staff members can take 2 paid days of volunteer leave. So they're able, that applies across the business. So whether you're working like frontline at Thorpe Park or whether you're in the office working in finance, you're able to take those opportunities. So a lot of them will take that to support Merlin's Magic Wand. They will, like I said earlier about the Christmas visits, a lot of them use those days to prepare those events, to be able to take some actors out to the community. And I just think it gives them a sense of, again, a greater understanding of what we do and who we support. And it sort of makes them a bit more intrigued and more eager to learn about accessibility. And that's really something that's being at the forefront of what Merlin do at the minute, which is really, really great.
Yeah, because I can imagine like being at the park and sort of operating those rides and probably not that understanding. But when you get your volunteers, you then see it all come together and why it is so important that you have that accessibility.
Yeah, and they don't actually have to support us. So Merlin supports Merlin's Magic Wand and they support the Sea Life Trust as well. But they don't have to just support us, so they can support other charities. So they would be able to support yourselves, or they can support national charities or anything that's close to their heart as well. So if they want to work directly with a charity that supports disability, they're able to go and spend their time there. So like you said, if they want to educate themselves on that and bring that back to their workplace, they can do that.
Amazing. Well, I wish more companies would be out there doing that, because I just think that then enhances everybody's understanding, which I think is something that's required, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So, Ellen, you were telling us about, you've got 3 different programs that you run within kind of your role. So we've talked about the trips. So perhaps maybe can we talk about the magic spaces? So I know that Lily's Place, which is our children's respite home, you guys did our bathroom when we had our redevelopment. Oh my goodness. I don't know how many years ago, maybe 8 or 9 years ago now, I think you did.
I would help, but it was before my time. Yeah. So yeah, let's say yes.
Yes. But you just recently come back out to give it a bit of a refresh, haven't you? So maybe if we could hear a bit more about that programme.
Yes, of course. Yeah, we did. I think it was about a month ago now.
Yes,
we did the flooring. Yeah, so at the minute, we've actually started to put a bit more focus on that programme. So before COVID, we were focusing on all 3 programs maybe equally, and then COVID came along, which meant, as you will know, quite a lot of disruption. So our Magic Space program we weren't able to focus on for a while, and last year we actually hired someone to be our Magic Spaces project manager, which is really great. Her name's Becky. She's doing brilliant. And she's restarted the projects that we'd started before the pandemic. So we had a project we started in Beijing, in Istanbul. We sort of started tentatively working on London and in Bray in Ireland as well. And we've started a project in Scarborough as well. So we've got quite a few projects ongoing, which is very exciting. And hopefully most of those will launch this year. They're quite varied. We've got in Beijing, it'll be in a women's refuge. And in Istanbul, it'll be in an autism centre. And then in London, we're supporting an SEN school. So it's really great to be able to support lots of different people, lots of different attraction teams, lots of different themes. We're doing Duplo themes out in Istanbul and Beijing, which will be really fun. Yeah, it's really great. And yeah, it'll be really good. I started this role about 2 years ago, so I've seen a few of our spaces like Lily's Place, but I've not actually been to any launches, and I've not been able to see children using those spaces. So we're really looking forward to seeing the impact that they have. Yeah. Again, a lot of our feedback around that is, a lot of them are a bit educational. So if they're like sea life themed, there'll be panels on the wall where you can sort of feel the different textures that you might find under the ocean and things like that. And there's like sensory lights and stuff. So we check in on these projects about once a year along with our attraction teams, because they're global. It's not viable for us to go out and see them, unfortunately, once a year.
Just hop on a plane to Istanbul.
Yeah, and they're very different to our Magical Days Out programme, obviously, because what we can do with Magic Spaces is children that can't leave wherever they may be. So if we've done projects in hospices or in hospitals, those children are able to experience what we do at the parks nearer their bedside. So there's been one of them where it's like a garden, and it's the path is wide enough so that beds can be wheeled out. Wow. So it's really, these projects are very special because you're able to see the impact in such a different way. And obviously it's incredibly sad when children can't leave wherever they're spending their time, but being able to just give them a little bit of a different atmosphere and not just sort of white walls and stuff is really, really special.
I was thinking that about Lily's Place, like their bathroom is so amazing. It's like you're kind of inside a submarine type, isn't it?
With the door, there's a submarine on it.
Ripply floor that I always am like, oh, is it flat or is it not? Because of the ripples of water on it, and with the fish on the wall and things. It's so really immersive, and I think it's so much nicer for our young people rather than just going into a white bathroom.
Yeah, and I guess that bath time and stuff can sometimes be tricky or bring its own challenges. So it is really nice.
And we do lots of like sort of sensory baths, so where we'll have the bubbles on, and we'll let the young people have some music on, some lights, and time to just chill and things. And I think it's really lovely to have that really immersive environment, and it can create talking opportunities, even if the child is nonverbal and isn't able to communicate with you, for you to be able to talk about, oh, oh, can you see the seal on the wall and things like that. I think it's really lovely, to have those spaces.
Yeah.
So we're very
really
grateful of the one at Lily's place.
Oh, good. I'm really, really glad. Oh, amazing.
So you also talked about the Magic on Tour. Is that what I think it's called?
Yes.
So do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. So that's similar in terms of that we take the magic to the children rather than them having to leave. And that is most of the time we work very closely with our attraction teams for those. So they will come to us for some support, some monetary support or some advice on what they can do. And then they then go out and they find a charity partner and they then sort of execute these events. So it's really, really, like I said, Christmas is where we get most of these. And it's really wonderful to see all the pictures that come through at that time of year. We had Lego Santa go out to a hospital.
Oh, wow.
And the teams went with them with lots of gifts. So it's really great. And we also had... we've got the Shrek's Adventure attraction in London, and Santa visits Shrek's Adventure. So he, on one of his visits, went to the hospital next door with them, and some of the characters from Shrek's Adventure went with them, which is really, really great. Yeah, and he was able to set up a grotto in the hospital, which was really great.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and then they were able to, the children were able to come in and spend some time with Santa, which is really great because they may not have otherwise. And they were able to go in and visit some of the children that had to be sort of quarantined. So they were able to take some gifts and leave it with the nurse and stuff as well. So especially at that time of year, it's really difficult.
I was going to say a bit of magic at a difficult time.
Yeah. And it's not just Christmas. We've done other stuff as well. It kind of depends when teams have operational capacity as well. Summer is not the easiest time to do these. But we sort of pivoted during COVID and were able to do virtual ones.
Yeah, so that's what we did with you guys.
Yeah.
So we had a Lego day for our young people who attend Project My Time. So the team at Legoland recorded a video with a master builder, and he built this parrot, and then each of the children was sent a pack of the parts to build the parrot, and then they followed along the video with the master builder remotely so that they could build this parrot. And then they got to take it home, but they had little goodie bags, they had Lego hats and all sorts of really wonderful stuff, and the young people loved it.
Just about to say, they must have been so excited.
Yeah, and everyone was like, I can't believe they got to build along with a master builder. And for young people that are mad on Lego, that's incredible, isn't it? Just to be able to be like, I built this with the master builder from Legoland. So
that's like one of the best jobs in the world as well, as if they get to build with Lego all day. That's amazing.
Yeah. So we our young people really, really loved it. Well, so much so we've now done it twice with you guys, haven't we? So that's really exciting and lovely that you can do all these different projects and reach young people who are able to access the community, others that can't, and then, like you say, to make those really tough times, have a little bit of magic in that. So it's great that you've got so many different projects that cover.
I know. I didn't actually, because obviously being in adults, I didn't really know all the different areas that you do, but sounds amazing. How did you get into the role?
I think my background, I'm not going to bore you too much on my background, but I studied hospitality and tourism management at uni. Yeah. And then I went and did a year working at Disney in Florida, where I just really like theme parks and I like stuff like that. And then COVID came, and I'm from Wales originally. So then I worked in Wales for a few years while COVID sort of did its thing. And then I ended up working in the third sector then, so helping the community with different challenges that we faced. And I went into project management in that area. So then I kind of had the experience of working for a global sort of theme park company that was like guest facing, and the project management experience. And I'd always wanted to work for Merlin Entertainment, kept an eye out for something that suited everything. And this sort of married up everything. And it's been really interesting because I never thought about charity work, if I'm being completely honest. I thought I'll go back to be guest facing. I really want to give people an amazing experience. But doing this has added another layer to that because our focus on giving good experience, but you sort of elevate that level. It's not just people that are going out and having a great day out, which is amazing, but it's enabling people to have those great days out that may otherwise not have had those experiences. And that just brings an extra layer of just, I don't even know, I'm grateful for it. I guess that's
Yeah, I can
That's the right word,
imagine.
yeah.
Like you say, it's that extra layer of joy, and knowing that you're part of something that might not have happened.
Exactly.
Which,
exactly.
yeah, I think is amazing.
And we don't always, our team, because we're based in Poole in the office, well, we've actually got team members dotted around, but most of us are based in Poole. We don't always get to see that, we don't always get to go to the attractions and see them. But it's really great whenever we get feedback. It's just so nice when we're sat in the office and we see pictures of people having a great time. And on those occasions that we do get to go with the families to the attractions as well, it just makes everything so worth it. And yeah.
I've got to say, every year I go on the days out with the families, and every year I cry from the minute I get on the coach to the minute I get off the coach. And I'm like, stop talking to me, because everybody is just so incredibly grateful, and you get to hear all the stories about how they've wanted to do it as a family for so long, but they can't afford it, or they can't manage it without a member of staff, or, all of those complexities that we potentially may take for granted. And I always end the day just feeling so pleased and so grateful that we've been able to, along with you guys, we've been able to make this happen. And yeah, it's always such an emotional day. So yeah, everyone's always like, oh, just gonna cry all day. Yeah, probably. Because it's just amazing to, like you say, when you get that feedback, to think, this is a really hard day, but actually it's been so worth it. So
yeah.
So, Ellen, each episode, just so that you know, we take a note from our happy jar, and this jar is filled with notes that we have created from memories that we've taken over the past couple of years. So, Michelle, do you want to take a note from the happy jar?
Yeah, so I've got one here. So I've got Legoland. A parent called in the middle of a day trip at Legoland to say what a wonderful day they were having, and they wouldn't have been able to do it without our support. So this must be one of the trips, I'd imagine.
Yes, it is. It wasn't actually a phone call to me. It was like lunchtime, and I always go and basically just walk circles around the park, so that if anybody's struggling or needs a pair of hands, I'll run to wherever they might be. So I was eating my lunch and the phone rang, and I started throwing everything in my bag, and I was like, yeah, I'm on my way. And then the parent was like, no, I don't need your help. I just wanted to phone you and say thank you. And I was like, what? Okay.
Did you cry?
Yes. And I was like, okay, you don't want my help? She was like, no, I just want to phone you and say I'm having such an amazing time with my son, and we wouldn't have been able to do it without you, and I just wanted to say thank you. And I was like, it's okay. But yeah, my instant thought was, it was something bad was happening and we needed to get there and help. But it wasn't. She was just having such a wonderful day. And she said, again, it was that, I don't know if we do it without a member of staff. I don't know if we would spend that money on if he doesn't like it. What happens if, we walk inside and straight away it's like, no, I want to go home. Whereas she knew that coming with us, obviously there wasn't that financial implication, but she also had the staff member there to help her if, she needed time out or he needed time out. There was just an extra pair of hands. So yeah, that was that memory.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
How bizarre we pulled it out for today.
I know. Okay, so I'll take one. So I've got achieving independence in their own home and making their own decisions. So I'm guessing this is a supported living one?
Definitely supported living. Yeah, definitely. I think we see that a lot, but when you have you sort of new people move in and maybe they've come from home, so it's their first home, and that whole experience of finding a routine, finding what you enjoy doing, without your parents being there. I can remember that. So seeing that, an actual the whole independence and making your own life, which I think for the people supported, they might never have thought of, but also I think the families as well. I know, Claire, we've talked about it. You've been through that. So
I was just thinking that I could give an anecdote completely that will say, obviously, my sister's just moved into supported living in the past couple of months. So for the last 40, I'm trying to think how old she is, 46 years, something like that, she's never worn a jumper. She just won't wear a jumper. Okay. She hates jumpers. And all of a sudden, she came home for a visit one day and she was wearing a jumper. And me and my mum were like, she's wearing a jumper. But she'd been out with the person who was supporting her. She'd been shopping, she never used to like going shopping, but she loves going shopping now. She went shopping and she bought a sweatshirt, and she won't take the sweatshirt off. The staff were like, how do we get this off of her to wash it? Because she loves this sweatshirt. And me and my mum are completely like, our minds are blown, because for 40-something years, she's never worn a jumper.
How bizarre.
And now all of a sudden, I think because she's had the opportunity to go out shopping, and she obviously likes how that feels, and she gets joy from that. And yeah, now she's wearing jumpers.
And I've been to that service, obviously. It's one of the services, and the pairing is just incredible. You know, the whole sort of teamwork, or, you know, sort of flatmate situation. You know, you're going to do that, you better do that. It is lovely to see. It really, really is. And yeah, it's early days, but they're proper finding their feet, actually.
Yeah.
And what a beautiful home for their first home as well together. Like,
yeah, definitely.
I wish mine could look as trendy as it does. So yeah.
Really?
So obviously we've had our happy jar, and I'm now putting you on the spot. And I can imagine you must have so many, but is there one happy moment that sort of sticks out from your work?
Yeah, like you said, we do have quite a lot.
I can imagine.
Yeah, definitely all the feedback we get and all the pictures we get to see is definitely a highlight. Every time they come through, it's a real highlight. But I think if I had to choose one, last year I was really lucky and I was able to go with two of the families that we support to the launch of the World of Jumanji at Chessington World of Adventures, which was very exciting on a personal level as well.
Yeah.
I was very excited for it. But also we chose two of the families. We'd supported them in the previous year, and they'd given us lovely feedback and they'd had a really great time. One family, their son had some heart problems and was hopefully waiting for a transplant, but he has to be a certain age to get that transplant. And then the other family we were supporting had sadly lost their son the year before, and they had two daughters. So both those families got the opportunity to go to the World of Jumanji launch, which was very, very exciting.
Very exciting.
Yes, and it was a couple of days before it actually opened, so it was a lot of press. I think there was like influencers and stuff there as well, and also the CEO of Merlin was there, and someone very high up in Sony, which I can't remember their title. So it was very, very exciting, and there was a donut time van, and it was just a really special day, and they were able to stay at the hotel at Chessington World of Adventures the night before, and they were able to get like a goodie bag. And then the day of, I met them and we all went together, and there was a big countdown for when the land opened and stuff, and it was just really, really special getting to know these families, because we don't often get to know these families on a personal level. No. We tend to just get the feedback, and my work focuses more on working with organisations. So getting to know these families on a personal level was incredible. And the families didn't know each other before this day, so they were able to get to know each other. They obviously had very different experiences, but they were able to learn each other's stories, and both the eligible children had siblings, so they were able to bond as well. And then I sort of left later on in the day when I knew that they were having a great time. They had like fast track passes for the park for the rest of the day, so they were sorted. And that night I got a text from one of the families, and basically they'd spent all day at Chessington, and one family lived up north, so they had quite a travel back. But they were having dinner with each other, both families. And they sent a picture and they said, "We've made friends for life, and we just want to thank you so much." And honestly, even thinking about it makes me want to cry, because we do like give people these opportunities, but it was just something I hadn't thought of. I just didn't think that they would meet each other and it would mean so much. And it's just it was really, really special to be able to sort of connect some of the families that we support as well.
Similarly, we've had a absolutely similar experience with one of our sessions. Two mums brought their young children on a day trip to Legoland, and they were sat next to each other because we always take a coach. They were sat like opposite each other. By the time we got to Legoland, they were like, "Should we just go round together?" And nice. I was like, "Yeah, okay, if you want to, that's fine. If that's what you're happy to do." And then at the end of the day, they come and told me that they'd swapped phone numbers, and they've remained friends since, and they are in contact with each other and stuff. And I just think, wow, that, like you say, I wasn't expecting that to be a kind of byproduct of what we've done, but it's great when you get those extra things as well, isn't it?
Because also, I guess the parents don't always have the opportunity to meet people that are going through similar experiences. So, yeah, it's really it's really incredible when there's such a sort of powerful byproduct.
Yes,
I suppose.
yeah. Wow, what a job. I feel so lucky we've been able to work closely with Elin and her team over the years. They've honestly are just such a fantastic organisation, and they are so great at what they do.
I bet. It's such a varied role, and to be able to make such a significant impact on family lives is so heartwarming. I've still got goosebumps thinking about it.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Reasons to Care, the podcast from Diversabilities, Dorset's disability charity, all about what it means to work in care.
We'll be back with you again soon, so make sure you subscribe for updates. But in the meantime, don't forget to follow Diversabilities on social media. Check out our vacancies at diversabilities.org.uk/careers. And we'd love it if you could leave a review if you enjoyed this episode. Speak to you soon.
See you next time.